Picture 1,000 medieval warships cutting through the deep blue of the Bay of Bengal, their sails catching the wind as they move in a massive, coordinated formation across the open ocean. In the early 11th century, the Chola Empire was the dominant force in South India. Under Emperor Rajaraja the Great, the dynasty had consolidated immense wealth through land-based agriculture and local trade. The scale of that wealth is visible here, in the Britishwar Temple. The Cholas mobilized tens of thousands of artisans to build these massive stone monuments, creating a skyline that projected power across their territorial heartland. But while these monuments secured the center of the empire, its future growth depended on the sea. To expand further, the Cholas would have to move past the shoreline and establish a presence in the deep water. This was the primary engine of the medieval economy. Trade ships carrying silk, spices, and silver moved continuously from the Middle East, around the Indian coast, and through the narrow straits of Southeast Asia toward China. Around 1025 AD, the Srivijaya Empire, based in modern-day Sumatra, began obstructing the passage through the Malacca Strait. Chola merchants were heavily reliant on these specific routes to reach Chinese markets. With the Srivijayan blockade in place, the primary source of the empire's luxury revenue was cut off, threatening the financial stability of the Chola merchant guilds. Emperor Rajendra I realized that domestic prosperity could not be maintained if the trade routes remained closed. He began preparing a naval force capable of operating thousands of miles away from the Indian coast. The Cholas pivoted their industrial resources toward a massive shipbuilding program. They produced multi-deck warships with reinforced hulls, specifically engineered to withstand the pressure and turbulence of a deep-water ocean crossing. Operations at this distance required complex logistics. The Cholas had to coordinate specialized supply ships to carry fresh water and grain, allowing the combat fleet to remain at sea for months without returning to a friendly port. The ships were equipped with heavy offensive technology, including bronze dragon-headed mechanisms mounted on the bows. These devices were designed to project streams of liquid fire, allowing Chola crews to ignite enemy vessels from a distance. To find the enemy in the vastness of the ocean, the fleet used an intelligence network of light scout ships. These units fanned out ahead of the main armada, feeding navigation data and troop movements back to the flagship. By integrating deep-water ship design with incendiary weapons and a forward scout system, the Cholas transformed their navy into a specialized expeditionary force. Rajendra I launched the armada across the Bay of Bengal, transporting thousands of combat troops to the Srivijayan coast. The target was the highly defensible coastline of Sumatra. The Chola fleet had to navigate these tropical shorelines to strike the Srivijayan ports directly at their source. The assault on the harbor was a coordinated strike. While the heavy ships used their incendiary weapons to clear the water, thousands of soldiers landed on the beaches to overwhelm the Srivijayan coastal defenses. Once the shoreline was secured, the Chola forces systematically destroyed the Srivijayan maritime infrastructure, targeting the specific ports and toll stations that had enforced the blockade. The victory demonstrated that the Chola military could effectively dismantle an opposing empire's defensive network, even when operating across thousands of miles of open water. Following the invasion, the Cholas established direct control over the entire basin, leading historians to refer to the Bay of Bengal during this period as the Chola Lake. This naval supremacy led to a massive economic boom. South Indian ports became the primary hubs for global trade, as merchant fleets from as far away as Arabia and China now operated within a Chola-controlled maritime system. This campaign solidified the Chola dynasty's position as a blue-water naval power, capable of projecting influence and sustaining long-range operations far beyond the traditional limits of ancient maritime states. The invasion proved that the empire's long-term security was tied directly to the mastery of trade routes. By securing the sea, Rajendra I ensured the continued flow of wealth into the Chola heartland. The Chola campaign remains a landmark in maritime history, a strategic takeover of global trade infrastructure executed 1,000 years ago. We want to know your thoughts on the Chola legacy. Which achievement was more impressive, their massive stone architecture or their long-range naval power? Head over to our community tab to cast your vote.